Hello, Meoni here, and firstly, this video is to break down what I'm most excited about and my general reactions from last night's Square Enix conference. Firstly, let me say that I'm a bit of a fanboy and you're not really going to hear anything but good things from me, as I don't really think anything let me down specifically. It might have been a bit of a letdown for some people who weren't interested in Final Fantasy, but for the most part, if you're a Final Fantasy fan, then this is right up your alley. It has to be said, this was one of the best years ever for Square Enix at E3. It's a far cry from the previous year, which many felt was, overall felt a little bit flat. They kicked things off as many expected with Final Fantasy VII's remake, and oh boy did we get a treat from that one. There's so much to just mention about how good this game looks, but I'm not sure it's something that you can convey in a video like this one that's fairly short. For a start, the gameplay was a major worry for me personally when they first announced that it would be a fully action-based and episodic game a couple of years ago. Now that's somewhat been addressed in my opinion for my own personal tastes, because you can charge up an ATB gauge in-game with those normal basic attacks with Cloud, with a button, and then you get to either use this new ATB system once charged to slow down time to use abilities, magic and summons as you remember them from the original old game, but it's completely optional. They made a big thing mentioning that they wanted to give the player a choice of how they interact with combat, and you can instead assign shortcuts to button bindings to use spells and abilities on the move without the need of the ATB menu at all. So if you're one of those people that prefers a fast-paced action game, you can totally play it that way, and if you prefer having the ability to think and tactically decide on spells, that totally still exists, which I think is something that I didn't expect. It's been rumoured that they were going to do something to do with ATB, and in general I'm quite happy with how that works. On the other worry of mine, with it being episodic, whilst they didn't straight out come out and say, hey, it is or isn't episodic anymore, we do now know that this game will be released as a full item taking up a whopping 2 Blu-ray discs in its physical form, which I mean is insane if you think about that size. I remember only a couple of years ago people were theorizing how it would never be possible to fill a Blu-ray, and I guess times really have changed, Things just seem to be getting bigger and bigger. It's set to release on the 3rd of March next year and is looking very sexy. Little details that personally caught my eye that I have to mention here is that you can actually see the materia socketed in weapons when it's attached. The close-up of Cloud's Buster Sword actually shows the socketed materia. Whether this will be like for every character and weapon, I don't know. It's not really been talked about, but at least we know that we still have materia in the game, that it's sockets, that we have abilities and spells and actions, and for the most part still have an ATB system, which, I mean, man, that's a load of worry already gone off my shoulders. Do I like the action-based combat personally? Well, originally I hated the idea, but seeing it in proper motion in the actual gameplay they showed, I mean, they showed off the Scorpion boss specifically, as well as other combat scenes, including their reveal of Tifa in combat, and Aerith as well healing along. It looked really fluid. Occasionally it was broken apart by camaraderie and the narration from the actual characters talking with each other, and some mid-fight cutscenes for fight transitions into other areas, but other than that, it looks really smooth and quite engaging. I'm sure at the end of the day this will be what it takes to attract a brand new generation of Final Fantasy VII fans, and of course you can spend $330 for an insane collector's edition with Cloud on a bike. Holy crap. So before I continue gushing about 7, there were quite a few other things I actually got excited about last night. As you probably saw from my Twitter reaction if you follow me there, Final Fantasy VIII Remaster is coming. Oh yes. I realise people will say, well, you already have it on Steam, Meoni. What's the big deal? Well, the big deal is there isn't a PlayStation 4 version or a Switch version, and that the game up until now was completely thought to be lost to the elements of time. No backups of the source code were said to exist from the original PlayStation 1 and PC release. The Steam version is directly reverse engineered from the original PC version. and I would imagine they had to reverse engineer that to get this ready for current consoles. It's quite a big deal, especially when you look at the side-by-side pictures. It's not just a re-engineered port, but graphically it's had a beautiful, smooth makeover, and the characters look really amazing. It's probably my biggest highlight of the entirety of E3, and if I'm honest with you, I'm so incredibly grateful that so many new people will get another chance to experience one of the best entries in the series. You know, I can actually show my nephews this game, and it's not going to look like the main character's a cardboard box. So, you know, that's a big deal for me personally, to share my experiences and passion with more people. So next up, they showed off Outriders. I wasn't really going to mention this, but it is their new IP. It looks alright. You can't really gauge anything from the pre-rendered trailer that they showed. There was no gameplay. Seemingly, it looks like a sort of fantasy gun shooty game. It's not directly my immediate cup of tea personally, but it is one I'd like to keep my eye on. I just hope that it's not another live service shooting game like Anthem, but then it's impossible to tell at this point. But I do like the big alien robot thing. It's very H.G. Wells. And last but of course not least, that interested me personally is of course Naoki Yoshida, the producer and director for Final Fantasy XIV, when he debuted on stage, and the amazing reveal of a brand new Shadowbringers launch trailer, which I have actually done a full analysis of frame by frame for the most part that you can find on the channel. It was just over 4 minutes of footage and dialogue present, and there is so much to take in from this trailer that it can be quite daunting and exciting at the same time to sort of process. They drop an insane lore spoiler at the end of a video, which I'm not going to repeat here or show the end footage of in this particular video I'm making, and the analysis talks about that more if you want to know, but it's generally looking to be one of the twistiest, craziest expansions plot-wise we've ever seen in the game. It's hard to talk about here, but just go watch the trailer in person if you want to. However, it's very spoilery at the end, like I say, so on the flip side it might be some of your best interest to avoid that like the plague if you don't want to know anything big about the main story. I think that the trailer for Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers launch is enough for you to be seriously engaged in Square Enix this next year. Will it actually bring enough people to try out Shadowbringers? Oh, absolutely. In my opinion, I think this is going to be a massive turning point. If I was still playing WoW or any of the other games I've spent time trying over the years to try and invest passion into, and I saw that trailer, it would instantly make me sign up for a trial for sure. So yeah, in many ways they're probably going to win a lot of people over. And of course there was more at the Square Enix conference, and the full video on demand will be linked in the description from Square Enix themselves. There was some lovely indie games to get stuck into and the likes that I'd love to go into more detail with, but for me personally, these that I've mentioned here blew the Xbox conference out of the water for sure. For more videos like this, stay tuned. I will actually have a reaction to Day 3's Nintendo conference as well. Apologies again for the lateness of some of these videos. I did end up staying up until like 5 in the morning to watch these and digest them for you, so you know, there is that as well, so obviously I have to sleep at some point. Either way, thank you kindly for watching. Let me know your highlight personally and how hyped you are for Square Enix games this and next year, and I'll see you all next time.